Good morning, kiddos. This video is to show you how to use beyond marking the text strategies and walk you through the Nearpod, which is also going to teach you how to do the beyond marking the text strategies. So without any messing around, let's get right into it with me sharing my screen. You should really only have two things out after you've gone into Google Classroom, which is your Nearpod for beyond marking the text. I'm going to pick a school appropriate name, which is of course my name, and you should use your name as well. That will make it easier to grade since there is a quiz at the end of this Nearpod, which will be submit into the gradebook. So the first slide is obviously just a little GIF and lets you know what we're doing beyond marking the text and annotations. The next slide is our objective, which is that warriors will be able to annotate an article by following the beyond marking of the text strategy to gain a better understanding of the text. And our essential question is, what is the procedure for annotating text? This is important because we are going to annotate texts quite a bit in this class. So I want to make sure that you guys are familiar with the process. It'll be slightly different every time, but more or less, these will be the steps we take. So briefly looking at our agenda, we are not actually reading about the Mexican War of Independence. I apologize for that typo. We're reading about El Pipila, who was a hero of the Mexican War of Independence. So that will be interesting. And then we'll take a quiz at the end of Nearpod. And then, of course, after that, I hope you guys will have a great weekend. Yeah. So beyond marking the text, the first thing we do is we read the driving question found at the beginning of the article. Then we number all the paragraphs, and we read the article by ourselves silently. Over the process of marking the text, we're actually going to read the article 4 times, each time with a different purpose. So the first time, it's just to number the paragraphs and to focus on the driving question, which is, what did El Pipila do that makes him so memorable? And then the article is called About El Pipila. The first instruction was to number all the paragraphs. So that's what I'm going to begin doing first before I even read. I can tell it's a new paragraph because of this space between the line and the word, which is called an indentation. So this is indented, so it's my first paragraph. You'll notice that when you put 1 and the period, it'll do that. If you just hit backspace, it'll put it back into regular paragraph form. 2 is El Pipila's moment. 3 is the Spaniards. 4 is on his dash. 5 is the rioters. And that's it. There's only 5 paragraphs, and this is actually a statue of El Pipila, which can be found in Guanajuato. Now I'm going to read the article aloud. If you want to hear the article read to you again, just go ahead and rewind it and put it at this part, so that way you can have it read to you a few times. About El Pipila. When Juan José de los Reyes Martínez Amaro was born, there were severe complications which led to him developing learning and physical disabilities. Later, while working in the silver mines, he was given the nickname El Pipila, due to a strange walking motion, which resembled a turkey. Sometimes in history, the most insignificant people have the moments to become heroes and legends, as El Pipila did. El Pipila's moment came during the early stages of the Mexican War of Independence. The Spaniards feared the tensions in the Guanajuato region and barricaded themselves in the most fortified building of the city, the Alhóndiga de Granaditas. The Alhóndiga de Granaditas was built as the city's grain storage facility, or a granary. It was built with the solid stone walls and suitable vantage points for archers to repel attackers, which made it a sensible defensive position. The Spaniards' plan was to maintain their position until reinforcements could arrive to quell the rioters. This course of action appeared possible until the brave actions of El Pipila. El Pipila, not fearing for his safety, strapped a large stone on his back, picked up a bucket of tar, grabbed a flaming torch, and ran at the only weak point of the structure, the wooden door. On his dash to the door, the stone on his back protected him from the arrows and bullets of the Spanish defenders. Once at the door, he coated it in tar and set the tar ablaze by his torch. The fire weakened the solid wood door, and the smoke limited the sight of the archers, allowing others to rush the door. The rioters forced open the door and flooded into the Alhóndiga de Granaditas. The rioters killed the entire Spanish garrison of troops, along with the refugees, and plundered the treasures and weapons that had been hoarded by the Spanish. This first victory inspired the masses and significantly enhanced the Mexican independence movement. El Pipila's tale spread like wildfire and encouraged peasants to revolt. If a lowly crippled miner could rise up, so could the entire nation. And so next, now that we've numbered our paragraphs and read it first, we'll move on to the second stage, which is to read the article again, but this time we're highlighting all the names and what they did. Well, in this article, we know that it's mostly going to be about Juan José Los Reyes Martínez Amaro, or El Pipila. And so I'll help you by marking the first two paragraphs, but you guys will have to do the rest. So first, I'm going to highlight the name and what he did, which was being born with severe complications, with severe learning and physical disabilities. And then I'm going to go over here to where it says highlight. And I will pick a light blue highlighter this morning. And so that will remain highlighted. Oh, he was also then given the name El Pipila because of a strange walking motion that resembled a turkey. Again, it's just telling us more about the name, Juan José Los Reyes, and what he did. Oop, I made a mistake. I don't want to change the color of the text. I want to highlight it. Let's see. So that's all the important information in the first paragraph about El Pipila, because again, we are highlighting the names and what they did. So here we'll highlight more of what El Pipila did. See, the first sentence doesn't tell us anything. The Spaniards, fearing the tensions in the Guanajuato region and barricading themselves in the Alhóndiga de Granaditas, is important because even though it doesn't give us a name, it does tell us what the Spaniards were doing. We also know that the solid stone wall and suitable vantage points made it a good defensive position. So we're going to highlight that as well. So basically, if in the paragraph it's telling you a what, a why, or a how, it's going to be good to highlight. And anything that El Pipila did is also going to be something we want to highlight. So from this point, you should finish highlighting paragraphs 3, 4, and 5. Our next stage is going to be to bold the words that we do not know and write a comment for those words with their definition. So, for example, the first word I see here is Pipila. I don't know what Pipila means, so I'm going to bold it. And there's a couple ways to do that. The easiest way is just to highlight the word with your cursor and then click on the B. That will bold it. You can also, it tells you the hotkey, use Control and B to bold it. To define it, you're going to right-click it by holding down the Alt key and then clicking. That will allow us to define it. But if you don't like that definition, you can also just open a Google tab, a new tab, and type in the word, what does Pipila mean? It's a nickname. Oh, we already know that. Oh, but it's also the word for a hen turkey. So right here, we are going to comment. And if you don't have this little plus arrow, it can be found up here. Like it should be around there, and it'll just be the same symbol, a speech with a plus sign, speech bubble with a plus sign. And here I'm going to define what Pipila means. It means a turkey. I also could have figured that out due to the context clues because it says he was given the nickname because of his strange walking motion which resembled a turkey. Turkey, Pipila. Okay, so once I've commented, that doesn't mean I'm doing one word per paragraph, but that's the word I didn't know in this paragraph. I might not know other words like insignificant, in which case I would look that up as well. The next paragraph, I will also look for words that I don't know, like maybe tensions. So again, I'm going to bold. This time I am gonna right click and define by holding down Alt and then clicking. And then I'm going to define tensions. Mental or emotional strain. I don't think that's quite what they mean. Definitely stress, pressure. Jitters, not quite. Ooh, but there's also the verb, which is to apply force. Not quite. I think this is talking more about pressure, stress, and anxiety, right? It makes sense that the Spaniards had fear and anxiety in the Guanajuato region during a war. So that's the definition I'm going to pick. So here, tensions means stress, fear, and anxiety. I might also want to look up what alhóndiga means, or granaditas, because that might help me understand this better. So again, I'm going to bold, I'm going to hit the plus, and this one I'm probably going to have to look up since I know that this is all in Spanish. And so I'll open a new tab. What does alhóndiga de granadita? Wow, how does it already know? Algorithms. Oh, a grain market or warehouse. Like a granary. Basically where you would store your grains. So here, I will comment grain market or warehouse, a granary, place where grain is kept. Perfect. And so now I have, again, I've done the first two paragraphs. You will have to do paragraphs 3, 4, and 5, just like you did your highlighting. Once you finish that, you are ready for step 4, the final step, which is to read the text again and underline everything El Pipila did. Just you're double checking basically to make sure that you didn't miss anything in your highlighting. And it'll be easier to see now because those highlighting parts were already showing you what he did. So basically we're just looking for anything we missed. Well, we missed that he worked in the silver mines. So I'm going to underline that now. We also see that he became a hero and a legend. So I'm going to underline that now. And that way we won't miss any of the important bits of information. Okay. Once we finish that, there's an open-ended question. And it's simply use your annotations to answer the driving question in complete sentences. And the driving question was, what did El Pipila do that makes him so memorable? Well, now that we've annotated, underlined, bolded, and defined, we know that El Pipila did a lot to make him memorable. I'm not going to give you the answer here, but when you're ready, I will give you the sentence stem right here, which is El Pipila did, and then here's where you explain it to make him so memorable. Please remember to use complete sentences and use your annotations. After all, that's what they're there for. On the other hand, if you just don't feel like typing or your keyboard's messed up, you can record your voice to explain what El Pipila did, and that would be fine as well. Finally, there's a quiz. Again, use your annotations to help you answer this quiz. And feel free to look at the quiz first before you do your annotations, because that'll really help you learn, like, oh man, I got to make sure I get this down. So the first question is, why did they call Juan José de los Reyes Martínez Amaro El Pipila? The second question is, what war did El Pipila help to win? Where was the Spanish garrison in Guanajuato? How was El Pipila able to break into that Spanish garrison? And finally, what effect did Pipila's story have on the people? Once you're finished with that, make sure you submit it, as well as submitting your annotations. Both will be put into the gradebook. And after that, make sure you have a great weekend. All right, guys, I hope that helped. If you still have questions or you're having issues, I will try to be online later.